Welcome to Living Fuel TV. I'm KC Craichy with special guest Leonard Smith, MD. Welcome, Leonard.
Thank you.
Leonard is
Leonard
is a dear friend, and you've probably seen him on the cover of some books and on TV and radio and maybe on the internet. I don't know, Leonard, you get around pretty well. But again, I say you're just a wealth of information, and it's exciting to do this little series with you where we're talking about various subjects and bringing in science and concepts that most of you have not heard of. Most people anywhere have not heard of some of this stuff. It's really, really cool. Today I want to talk about, we talk about going organic in foods and fresh, and you know how when we manufacture stuff, we harvest it at the peak ripe when it's ripe, and freeze dry it and then put it in a can so it can deliver peak level nutrients. Exactly. But when people are buying even organic foods, it's almost 14 days from the time they pick it, and they pick it before it's ripe to the time it gets to the store. So there's a degradation in the nutrient levels. Now it's really important. But the thing I really want to talk about is the intelligence of the body and food. See, people eating all these dead foods and packaged foods and things that are not freeze dried. They're like in the middle of the store. You know, you buy them in the boxes and the packages. Yeah. What I'm talking about is that we've talked about how resveratrol actually provokes a positive genetic expression. It's not just an antioxidant. Well, I've read recently vitamin D has similar function, and as does omega-3, EPA and DHA. So we're finding that there's a intelligence between food. And another one I'll bring up is hard-boiled eggs. You know, CCKs, I guess enzyme hormone, CCK, cholecystokinin. Right. When you eat a hard-boiled egg, you can only eat maybe 2 or 3, unless something's broken down in your body. Because your body sends a signal to the brain via these CCKs and leptin even, I guess, and telling the body you can't eat anymore and will make you throw up if you actually continue to try to eat it. But if you scramble the eggs, you can eat a dozen of them. So something is turned off on this coding mechanism. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I do know that fat, I can give you at least part of the physiology. I don't profess to know everything about anything, frankly, but when fat hits the duodenum lining is what's releasing the CCK. And when it gets in the blood, it goes to the lateral thalamic nuclei of the brain, and that's the area of satiety. So that's why typically when people eat a meal with fat in it, and it's good to have some fat in a meal because it does help create satiety.
Well, so does protein and fiber in the same way, doesn't it?
Yeah, to some degree, but I think fat may be the most in terms of that, as opposed to like just eating a salad, which I'm big on eating salads, but I usually put olive oil and I might put some egg on it or something. But the whole idea of eating just plant food, you can do it, but you may still be hungry, although there's enough fiber in there that it does help you. But that's, the fat is the connection to the CCK. Now, why scrambled eggs allow you to eat more, I don't really know about that. You would think there'd still be the same fat in there. Maybe it's concentrated, maybe it's spread out in a different way, or I don't know.
I just find that fascinating. Yeah. You make a hard-boiled egg, a soft-boiled egg, a poached egg, or an over-easy egg, and you're limited on how many you can eat. But once you scramble it or make quiche or whatever, you can just eat it till the cows come home. But interestingly, carbohydrates, as you know, don't have a signaling device like that. Right. Protein does, fat does, but when you eat a carbohydrate, your brain doesn't know until you've digested. It's in the portal vein in the bloodstream, and then it goes to the brain, and the brain says, okay, that's enough, and by that time you've overeaten. That's why they say stop 20 minutes before, right?
And then the problem with the carbohydrates is if you eat too much, and if they're too simple and they get absorbed too quickly, you put out more insulin, and insulin's going to stay around for 4 or 5 hours. So 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4 hours after eating a predominantly carbohydrate meal, you could actually have your insulin still circulating, so your blood sugar drops, and for some people, dropping the blood sugar means I'm going to kill to get some more carbohydrates. And I used to tell people that all the time. You need to eat a balance of meal, not too much, but enough fat, enough protein, along with the carbohydrates, so as to not have fluctuating, bouncing blood sugars, because that's what I think causes people to really get addicted to carbohydrates.
It's interesting. That starts at breakfast, doesn't it? People have a grain-based breakfast with some juice or something like that, and then they crash at 10 o'clock, and they got to have insulin levels pushing it down. They got to have some more carbohydrates. So having a very, it's funny. I always say people always think that breakfast foods have to be like pancakes or waffles or cereal or something in that category. But the truth is, lunch foods and dinner foods, a salad would be terrific. Salad with protein would be terrific for breakfast.
That's what I eat usually.
Or Living Fuel, right? So, but anyway, which is a salad, drinking a salad with protein and so on. So,
that's what we do. We actually take a bunch of vegetables and blend them up and add the fuel to it and have it as a green smoothie while I'm eating my salad. That's exactly what I eat.
Well, that sets you up for not being hungry until noon, you
Right.
know, till lunch or what time.
Everybody's different. I don't seem to get that hungry. I actually do fine on 2 meals a day. I may snack a little in between, and there's a lot of individual variation in that. And
you know, that's an interesting point you brought up, because, see, I believe personally that snacking is what's keeping a lot of people from losing weight. Okay,
Right.
because if we talked about insulin being around for 3 hours,
Right.
they eat.
Depends on what they're snacking on.
Right.
Too.
True. But if they
Is it a
eat,
Snickers or is it a head of broccoli
good point.
with a little olive oil on it, maybe?
3 hours, let's say 3 hours,
Right.
that's what I call the fully fed state. Okay, you're operating on what you ate, you're feeling
Right,
good, you're
right.
getting blood sugar, all that sort of thing. But from the 3 hour to the next meal, that's what I call maximum metabolic mode. Now your body's having to do what it's designed to do and fueling the body from stores.
Right.
You know, releasing triglycerides.
Right, right.
Fatty, people have fatty livers because they eat all the time and they never
Right.
release anything to
Right.
make the body work. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that basically, it's not just what you eat, it's also what you do. Now, like if you eat, like let's look back 50, 100 years ago on the farm. People eat a hearty breakfast, but then they're out there maybe at 8 in the morning and they're really toiling in the field or pulling a plow or doing something for 4, 5, 6 hours. They're entitled to a bigger lunch. If we're just sitting around playing on the computer or reading a magazine or in some meeting or whatever, I really think, and science will back me on this, the single number one age management technology
Reduce
is
your portion size.
Exactly 30% less food than you think you need to eat.
Well, we talked about that.
So
The
I know,
four corners.
and of course your fuel and that whole concept works very well into that.
Cut your calories,
Right.
lower the sugar and glycemic response, increase
Right.
the broad spectrum antioxidants and healthy fats.
Exactly.
It's a powerful concept. It's really the thing that the literature just doesn't deny. There's like 3,000 studies
Right.
around that subject
Right.
that would say, but if you look back 10 years, that the caloric intake has increased 25% on the average
Right.
in America. So if the literature says you cut back 30% or 20% or 40%, and people are up 25%, that just can spell nothing but bad.
I remember you probably at least 4 or 5 years ago in one of the books that you wrote too, I read so many articles where they put people on caloric restricted diets, but they miss the other half, optimum nutrition, that whole CRON, C-R-O-N, caloric restriction, optimum nutrition will give the best result. Caloric restriction without optimum nutrition is a disaster, and that will actually cause people to slow down their thyroid and their metabolism. That's how they get in the yo-yo diet thing. I really cut my calories and I did well for a while, and then all of a sudden I gained all the weight back. So,
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you again,
oh,
Leonard.
you're very welcome.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed it. We wish you super health.